What's up, party people? Welcome back to another episode of ARFCOM News. I'm broadcasting to you from deep within the TNVC bunker, surrounded by endless rows and rows of toilet paper stacked to the ceiling. I've set the turrets to auto, and that should buy me just enough time to do the news before I have to get back to defending my horde. Let's kick this off with the latest from everybody's favorite creepy uncle, Joe, your hair smells nice Biden. Mr. Naughty Hands grabs a lot of headlines because saying stupid stuff is kind of like his superpower. Remember the time he claimed to have worked with someone who had been dead for a decade? And who could forget timeless classics like
first-time home buyers
and
poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
You guys likely saw his recent quote about 150 million Americans being killed by gun violence since 2007. His quick maths might be a little bit off considering that there are about 300 million people in the whole country, and between autonomous man-killing guns and the coronavirus, we still haven't seen half our population wiped out. What's disappointing, but not surprising, is that none of the other candidates called him out on his outrageous claim, and the legacy media didn't bother to fact check. More recently, Biden threatened a Michigan auto worker, told him he's full of shit, and threatened to take his AR-14s. Let's just watch this altercation together.
You are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my sons hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away. If I win, I'm coming for it. If I win, I'm coming for it. I'm coming for it. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. If I win, I'm coming for it. That's not true. I did not say that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out there. It's simply a lie.
Your voice. You said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait. Take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
And let's
Don't tell me
anything,
pal. I'm going to go outside.
There's a lot of guys.
You're
Setting aside the misogyny of shushing his female staffer, what does he mean when he says, "Want to go outside and don't try me, pal"? Does he legit think he can take that 20 or 30-year-old factory worker in a fight? I mean, as funny as it is for an elderly man to attempt the tough guy act, it's a little unsettling that a man who wants to be president is out there picking fights. And I'm not comfortable with anyone who responds to differences of opinion with threats of violence. It doesn't help that he's so unhinged, he doesn't seem to understand that everything he says is recorded and easily verified. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I still want to address the only actual point the senile old man tried to make. He mumbles something about yelling fire because he is lamely trying to make the point that rights are not unlimited. It's a point that comes up often in discussions about individual rights, and it's commonly used as an excuse for gross infringements on constitutional rights. It's a reference to the majority opinion in Schneck versus U.S., written by Oliver Wendell Holmes. The part that control freaks gloss over is the reason you could get in trouble for shouting fire in a crowded place. I mean, the word fire isn't banned, and it is absolutely legal to alert the people around you if there actually is a fire. I'd say you have a moral duty to raise the alarm if there is a fire. No, for it to be a crime, it has to be a lie, and it has to carry the potential, if not the intent, to hurt people in a panicked crush of bodies. The reason you can't yell fire or free beer in a crowded place is the same. Your right to speak as you will does not extend so far as to harm other people. In other words, your individual rights are limited only by the rights of others. My man TJ said it best. Rightful liberty is unobstructed action according to our will within limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. I do not add within the limits of the law because the law is often but the tyrant's will and always so when it violates the rights of the individual. So you do have a fundamental human right to own an AR-15 and to carry it with you, but you do not have a right to do things with it that are likely to harm other people. Gun Owners of America has asked New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to issue a red flag order against Senator Chuck Schumer for his threat to Supreme Court Justices Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. Schumer ineffectually bleated to them, "You will pay the price, and you won't know what hit you." I mean, yes, what Chucky said sounds beta as this fish here, but it is definitely a threat that would have landed any plebe at the short end of a 3 a.m. breach and clear. So the GOA painted the state of New York into the position of officially admitting that these laws were never intended to be applied equally, or issuing the red flag order. GOA's senior vice president, Eric Pratt, issued this statement. GOA opposes the enactment of this red flag law and opposes the enactment of such laws in other states, in part because of our anticipated selective enforcement of this law, applying it to the poor and minorities while giving a pass to the rich, powerful, and politically connected. Your response to this letter will help demonstrate whether our concerns were valid. He went on to ask that Cuomo direct an appropriate official to seek a red flag order against Senator Schumer. Roosevelt Twyne is a New Jersey security guard who was arrested for carrying hollow point ammo and illegally transporting a firearm. Now, I know New Jersey is just absolutely stupid. They're the only state with an outright ban on hollow point ammo that I know of, and a man shouldn't need permission from the Crown to carry a gun. But as stupid as all that is, Twyne did have his state permission slip. He was trained, tested, fingerprinted, and deemed worthy by the state. Twyne's attorney also says the critical duty ammo he was carrying was not hollow point. It's publicly announced as lawful because it is. It's not hollow, it's filled. There are several companies that make ammo that's essentially like a hollow point, but with a small piece of silicone where the cavity would be. The state of New Jersey issued a public announcement that this type of ammunition, specifically, is not hollow point ammunition years ago. After significant public backlash to the arrest, charges were eventually dropped. If the world were all gumdrops and unicorns, Twyne would successfully sue the department and individual officers for violating his civil rights under color of law. Then again, if the world was all sunshine and rainbows, agents of the state wouldn't have the authority to arrest a man over the manner in which he carries his gun or the ammo he chooses to load in it. Great job standing up for individual rights in Nebraska, team. A massive showing of more than 400 gun rights supporters at the state capitol dwarfed the handful of people who showed up to advocate for authoritarian policies. Their presence and your advocacy stopped 3 gun control bills from advancing this year. Some attendees openly carried rifles, which got the sort of attention it always does. Dishonest politicians tend to be fearful of an armed constituency, so they predictably whined about the legality of the situation. One, Senator Michaela Cavanaugh, even requested a security detail and unironically vowed to continue to speak truth to power, apparently unaware that she works for the government. New Mexico's governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, is upset that some of the sheriffs don't like her shiny new red flag bill and ask them to resign if they won't enforce it. Of course, sheriffs don't actually report to the governor, and she has no authority to make them resign. Tony Mace, president of the New Mexico Sheriff's Association, said he is concerned that the bill could lead to confiscation of personal property when no crime has been committed. As you know, this sort of pre-crime facet to red flag bills is a huge concern for most opponents. It's not that anyone is standing up for the rights of crazy people to do crazy things with guns. It's that sending armed agents of the state to confront a person over hearsay sets up a situation with extreme potential for someone to get hurt. Nobody understands that problem better than sheriffs who have actually worked as a cop. I think everyone wants to help people get the mental health treatment they need while at the same time reducing the potential for harm. But red flag bills do the opposite. The right way to handle this is the process that already existed in many states. If a law enforcement officer can articulate a reason he believes a person to be a threat to themselves or someone else, he should be able to apprehend the person and have them assessed. The suspected crazy person should have access to an attorney and be present at all hearings, because that's how we do things outside of banana republics. Did you hear about the 11-year-old girl who carried an AR to a House meeting at the Idaho Capitol? The girl, accompanied by her grandfather, appeared at the hearing to express support for a change in Idaho's concealed carry laws. Idaho recently passed a sort of constitutional carry bill, but its wording was a little odd. It is currently legal for adult residents of Idaho to carry concealed without a permit, but non-residents need a permit. The gun's grandfather, Charles Nielsen, argued that if an 11-year-old girl can safely and legally carry a loaded rifle, then it's just silly to think that adult visitors to the state can't do the same. The proposed changes were passed by the committee and we'll see a vote in the House, so be sure to support the bill. Tennessee's also sort of constitutional carry bill, House Bill 2817, made some progress out of a subcommittee and onto the Judiciary Committee. The reason I add the qualifier is that HB 2817 doesn't just make it legal to carry concealed like many other states, it removes the requirement to get a permit for folks who can already get a permit. It's a small distinction, but unnecessarily complicated. You might be tempted, though, to support anything that is opposed by moms near you looking for action. For the last couple of months, I have been urging you to attend rallies and lobby days because physical presence is the most powerful, compelling, and effective tool in the toolbox for peaceful activists. But the Illinois state government just canceled all tours and event permits for the state capitol to slow the spread of coronavirus. The Illinois State Rifle Association has therefore postponed Lobby Day, which had been scheduled for April 1st. This raises an interesting legal question. So far, I haven't seen any resistance to events being canceled to limit the spread of the virus, but if an organization wanted to sue, what would happen? I'm not a lawyer, but I think strict scrutiny is usually applied in First Amendment cases. Would the government be able to articulate a sufficiently compelling need to punish people who assemble peaceably for redress of government for grievances? If you're a lawyer, or if you know someone who admits to being one, leave a comment below. I'm legit curious about how that might play out. Maybe it's something in the water in Illinois that brings out the despot in people, because the mayor of Champaign, Illinois, Deborah Frank Finan, simply declared that she has the power to arbitrarily stop the sale of guns and alcohol. The city manager probably expected to be reassuring when he said that they wouldn't necessarily use the powers the mayor gave herself. The mayor claims that the authority for the executive order comes from city code, but for that to be true, it would mean that the Champaign City Code is not subordinate to the United States Constitution. And the mayor of New Orleans also anointed herself with unconstitutional authority a few days later. No, a mayor cannot simply declare that she has the authority to stop the sale of guns any more than she has the authority to quarter troops in your home. Now, I don't mean to imply that the coronavirus isn't a serious issue, but it's really hard not to see this sort of move from the mayor as the kind of thing that's designed just to see what sort of stuff people will tolerate. Everytown Law, the group of legal attack dogs working for anti-gun oligarch Michael Bloomberg, has filed a suit against Lucky Gunner for selling ammunition to the loser who shot his classmates at a high school in Santa Fe, Texas in 2018. The Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act should protect gun makers and retailers of gun-related products so long as they act in a legal manner. So, did Lucky Gunner break the law by selling ammo to the shooter? Now, it is indeed illegal for a minor to buy ammunition, whether online or in person. But it is only illegal to sell ammunition to someone who you believe is not allowed to purchase it. Having a credit card number doesn't prove a person is an adult, of course. But it does hint in that direction. Unless the buyer did or said something that would indicate otherwise, there's no reason for Lucky Gunner to suspect that the transaction isn't legal. So in my entirely uninformed lay opinion, it doesn't look like Bloomberg sharks have a leg to stand on. Will they leave the parents of the victim holding the bag for the attorney fees when Lucky Gunner wins, though? Are they just hoping to harass gun businesses into closing? Bloomberg certainly has deep enough pockets that he could bully all but the largest gun companies out of the market just by flooding them with baseless lawsuits. Mark Twain once said that we have the best government that money can buy, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe he was right. Pennsylvania State Representative Tom Mert has sponsored House Bill 2344, which would place a de facto ban on internet ammo sales, requiring the order to be delivered to only certain authorized sellers. It would also require people to obtain a $50 permit for the privilege of buying ammo, and the permit would expire every 3 years. Oh, and the state police would be allowed a month to process an application for the ammo permission slip. Now, if you're thinking that's a giant pile of steaming dinosaur turd, but you could just sidestep the stupid rule by buying your ammo in another state, that would be illegal too. And it would be a second-degree felony. Dude, armed robbery is a second-degree felony in Pennsylvania. And the authoritarian control freaks in Harrisburg want to apply this penalty to a non-violent, victimless crime that normal people could easily commit by accident. Representative Mert has already said that he doesn't plan on seeking re-election. After this stunt, it doesn't look like he has much room to change his mind. HB 2344 is currently in the Judiciary Committee, so please pause the video and call the committee chair Rob Kaufman right now at 717-264-3943 and urge him to kill this preposterous proposal. With all the hysteria surrounding COVID-19, I'm sure you've noticed that it's getting hard to find bowel towels, and when you do find them, the price can be pretty steep. That leads some poorly educated but well-meaning folks to start tossing around phrases like price gouging. In reality, there is no such thing as gouging. There are only prices that reflect market conditions and those that don't. As you remember from discussing basic economics in like 5th grade, when supply is reduced, demand increases, which provides incentive to raise prices. The Bolsheviks among you might claim that it is only human greed that inflates prices, but I'm telling you that the market is the most efficient way to distribute finite resources. See, the problem is that people think there's a choice between toilet paper on the shelf at $4 a pack versus toilet paper on the shelf at $50 a pack. That's false, because the former never existed as a choice in the presence of scarcity. The real choice is between empty shelves and goods offered for sale at increased prices. Let's imagine you have $50 in your pocket, a dozen rolls of toilet paper at home, and a clean bum. You walk into the store and see that $50 package of mud squares. What do? That's right. You buy it and sell it on eBay. Now, in all seriousness, you leave it on the shelf for the next guy because you don't want it as much as you want that case of Black Cherry White Claw. Now, let's say you have $50 in your pocket, you're down to your last 3 squares of poo tickets, and you just ate all the Slim Jims in your get-home bag when you come across that same package. You'll be glad it's there, right? Sure, you wish you could buy the White Claws and the TP. Of course you would prefer to pay less. But it's a good thing it's there, or you'd have an itchy butt tonight. And that's why anyone who isn't a literal communist should be happy to hear that Franklin Armory has toilet paper in stock. Sure, it's the crappy MRE paper that requires the utmost of caution to use neatly. Sure, it may seem a bit much to pay almost $400 for it, but now that you understand the economics of it, maybe that won't sting so much. Besides, it comes with a free binary trigger. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy it, please consider visiting our sponsor's website. Not only does TNVC have all the gear you need to own the night and flex on pours, they also have some pretty good deals on night vision accessories and rad swag. If you like America and puppers and you hate communism, check them out. Or if you'd rather support us more directly while also triggering steppers at a high cyclic rate, take a look at some of the fly gear in our Teespring store. Until next week, don't do anything I wouldn't do. I love you.